So we are continuing our data analytics class with Tableau, and in data analytics class with Tableau we will discuss some string functions in calculated fields. Okay, yeah, हमारी last. So this is data analytics class. Today will be class 11. Okay, last 10 videos are already there for you to revise things, and today we will discuss about calculated fields and functions for strings. Okay, now strings is a data type. Okay, a string is a data type that has alphanumerical values. We have discussed this in previous classes also. Alphanumerical values. Alphanumerical values are mainly values which have either alphabets or numericals or both things. For example, if you consider order ID in the data source, if you consider order ID, so order ID has CA 2016, so it has alphabets, special characters, numbers, everything. Okay. Similarly, name of a person is all alphabets. So those type of variables that you are seeing there are all string values. Okay. And for string values, sometimes a query will come, find all customers, and condition is their name should end with something. Okay, let's say ES. Okay, or their name should start with something like, let's say, A. Okay, or find all city names starting with LO, something like that. Okay, so in terms of SQL, finding something like this can be done with the help of like comparison operator. So it is like select star from customers where name like, and then you
3%.
write these single quotes, and inside then you write two percentage signs. If it ends with es, so you just write es like this. This means ends with es, right?
Yes, sir.
Because
Correct.
percentage sign is a wildcard operator, and this means before es anything can come, any number of values and any number of characters, and any character can come. Okay, if it ends with, it means ends with yes. It starts with something. So for it starts with something, you just write that thing. For example, if it starts with A, then you write percentage. Okay. For example, it's starting with LO. So that is there. Now, what can we do in Tableau to achieve something like this? So here you have to go to this particular drop down and create calculated fields. I have told you something like this. Let's say it starts with LO. Let's say city name it starts with LO. So we are calling it city starts with LO. So here when you will search, you will find with, okay, ends with and starts with. And there is one thing called contains. So today we will discuss these three functions: contains, ends with, starts with. Okay, just a minute. There's some disturbance. Contains, ends with, starts with. Okay. So for this, what we will do is first it starts with. So first you write starts with here, okay, and in a start with, you can see this function is taking two arguments, okay, or two starting it is defined with two parameters. One is the string and one is the substring, okay. A string is what? String is the name of that column where you want to put this condition, and substring is your condition, okay. So for example, if you want to put something, so a string will be what? Suppose we want all city that starts with LO, okay. So you will drag city here, okay, city. If you don't like to drag, you can simply type city also here, but when you will drag, then it will come within the square brackets, okay. Then you will put a comma. Why are we putting a comma? Because this function has two parameters, okay. Now second syntax, maybe you are missing an identifier. So what is our string? Lo. Now is the syntax clear?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So it has two parameters. Now we have put two values here, city and LO. First argument is your string where you are searching this, and second argument is your string. Click apply. Okay. If you'll see closely, we did not write if else, we did not write anything. Okay. So if you don't write if else or case when, such kind of conditions that we studied in the previous chapters, then what it will do is it will create a TF kind of field. TF kind of calculated field. What is TF kind of field? It is a boolean value. It will contain either true value or false value. Okay. So what it is going to do is, what this field is going to do when we'll use it in calculations or graphs, it from row number 1 to row number 9994, it will run as a loop, and if this condition is met, it will write true there, and if this condition is not met, it will write false. So you can see here, okay. So here you see that when we create a field like this, a calculated column is created, and that calculated column will have that value as per the conditions that we have applied. So just a minute. Here you can see the column is created, and we are waiting for values to upload. So here you can see if the value is, if the city name starts with LO, so you can see in this row true, and if in row number 3 if we see city name, it is Los Angeles, okay. So because this city name starts with LO, that substring, okay. If someone asks you it starts with an alphabet, so instead of the substring you can simply write that alphabet, okay. So the condition is very clear. Now our question was, select a star from customers, or we have to write something like this, right? Find all customers and this. So can you guide me, like what will be my next step to get something like this?
There is one thing city starts with.
Yeah, so we have already written that condition, right?
Yes.
Now how to get all those names? To get all those names, first thing
Sir,
that you are going to drag here is city. right?
mm,
When you will drag city, it will give you all the names. Okay. Then we studied filters last day. So you will simply drag filter here. Now in your conditional statement there are two cases, false or true. Which one will we choose?
true.
True, right?
Mm,
Because in our case we want city that starts with LO. Okay,
mm,
apply, and here we go. These are the cities that start with LO. You can see Long Beach, Longmont, Longview, Lorraine, and then this becomes your measure. And in value, you can do whatever you want. Like for example, you want to see what is average quantity ordered in these cities. So instead of sum, you can see average. So you can see. You can also find count of orders, different things that you know, right? So this is what you can do. Now, similarly, you can do the same with ends with, and you can do the same with contains. Okay. So I'm just giving you a hint. Then you will, work on these tasks yourself. So starts with city LO. If it ends with LO, you will just write ends with here. If it contains LO, you will just write contain here. Okay. So let's say contains. Let's say contain. Will it give us more cities? It might give us. In contains, these cities will definitely come, but there are many more cities which contain the substring LO. Okay. So this is important, and this is used for strings particularly. So try all of these and see for yourself if you are able to do this. Okay. Now we'll create more calculated fields. Let's learn more values. Now we will try to learn the difference between count and count D. Okay. Let's move on to next topic. So from our string functions, we will move on to the next topic. And next topic is difference between count and count D. So in case of SQL, because we are always getting some reference of SQL or SQL, and then it kind of becomes easy for us to perform the same thing here. So in SQL, if we write select city from customers, okay. So if we do that, you will see all the city names, and city names will be repeated also, right? But here you can, if you write select distinct city from customers, it will give you all city names but only unique values. And you can write select count, right? Something like that. Select count, count. So this will give you the same result, but in this case, city names will be distinct values, and in this case, you will get repeated values. Like for example, London has come 6 times. Like there are 6 customers of London, so you will get 6 London values, 5 Berlin values, something like that. Here you will only get single values. Okay. Now in our data source, there are actually 9,994 rows. You can see here 22 fields, 9,992 rows. we in every row there is order ID. Okay, order ID.
Yes, sir.
We want to check whether we have distinct or whether all these order IDs are distinct or not. Although it is very clearly visible from the data, but we'll try to do this with the help of these calculated fields. Okay, and then we'll try to understand the difference. So one calculated field, that is count, or one generated field count, is already there. Okay, and when you will put here, it will show you that number, the 9994. So CNT of orders is already there. What we will do, create calculated field, and in this calculated field we will write distinct count orders. We will simply write count D. Okay, returns the number of distinct items in a group, and here we will put order ID. Okay, so we want to check whether we want to check whether each row represents a different order or some values are repeated. Then you can simply drag this and you can see the difference. So distinct count of orders is 5009 and count of orders is 9994. Okay, because actually in our data there are some repeating order IDs. So this means that in this data set, when customer comes to order something, then what they do is they order multiple products also. Okay, and if you will, so which column is actually distinct for us? The column that is distinct for us is row ID. Okay, so row ID. Now if you will write count distinct row ID, count distinct row ID, this will give you 9994. So let's try this as well, whether our assumption is right or wrong. Here you can see in the first two rows, order ID is repeated. Okay, there are cases where a person has ordered 6 items or 7 items. Okay, we will create calculated field, and this is count D row ID. Okay, so basically we have to write the row ID inside square brackets, and only it will consider it as a variable. And row ID, as you can see, the case is row and ID is D is capital. Now it's correct. So we have to keep the case in mind also. Let's apply and OK. And now let's do count of row ID. We can now drag it here in measure values, and this will give you the same value. So you can see the generated field count of orders is giving us 9994. Count of distinct row ID is giving us 9994, but count of distinct orders is 5009. Okay, that that is why what we can do is we can analyze the average order value. Okay, if suppose you are asked what is the average order value, so you have to think about average order value per person or average order value per order, right? So in case of average order value per person, what you can do is you have to drag order ID here. It will come different, right? We will add all members if this warning comes, and we will also write row ID. Actually, we can do it in different tables. And when you will do sales, so it will actually group the data by order ID, and after grouping the data by order ID, it will give us sum of sales. Okay, you can also do average sales, you can also do different things. So it is giving us this, we'll change it to table. So this is sum of sales per order ID. Okay, but you know that row ID is different. So if you will actually do average, these numbers will change, but in case of row it will not change. Okay, just a minute. You can see in some cases the numbers are changing. That means those are those orders where multiple products were ordered. Is it clear so far? So in our previous classes we have discussed about the Northwind data set. Northwind data set is a again a sample superstore data set in itself. If you look at the ER diagram of Northwind, so this is the ER diagram of the data set. Like in this example, we establish the relationship between two tables. We have also done in three tables. So we have also done same in the case of Northwind. So you can establish a relationship like this, and after that you can start with these questions for practice. Questions like create a report. These are very easy questions, right? You just have to sort. I am talking about question name. For example, question in questions like this, question number 7, all customers from Buenos Aires only. So here you just have to use a filter, right? You will just put a filter and it will give you those uh, customers. Okay. So now here is one more question, that is create a report that shows the city, company name, contact of customers from cities starting with A or B. Okay. Now to do this type of a question, suppose question was only this, that starts with A. So that is something that we have already done. Starting with B, an easy approach will be, what you can do, we'll consider the same example. So an easy approach will be, you can create another calculated field and it will also give you true and false, and then you can use both those fields in a filter. Okay, do you get the point or not? Like city starts with LO, but let's try something. So let's create a new sheet, not dashboard, that's a sheet. Here we'll create another calculated field and call it city starts with A or B. This is the question, right? City starts with A or B. So in such type of questions, one option is to create one calculated field by using starts with A, another calculated field by using starts with B, and using both of them in filters as we have done. What we can do is, if starts with city A or starts with city B, then 1, else 0, and stars. We have some error. Yeah, starts with city B. Let's check. We always have to check the number of open parentheses. So we can remove this and this. Okay. Or if you have to write the two conditions inside brackets, then an extra bracket will be added here and extra bracket will be added here. Okay. Now both our conditions are inside parentheses. Okay. So we don't have any confusion. So in this case, what will happen is, let's click apply and OK, and let's actually write the city name. We want in rows, and city starts with this or that. So it is applying, will show me. Okay. So what it is doing, it is actually doing a sum. We'll get rid of it. It is doing sum because what is happening now, A1, this, we actually have to do row ID here. We actually have to put row ID also here. Here you can see. So if the city name is starting with A, we can see 1. But if the city name is starting with C, we don't see 1. Okay. Bristol 1, because A or B. So this is one way of doing it. Okay. When you are, if you will not write this as if else, if you will do it like this. First I'll copy this, I'll share it with you. I'm sharing in the chat so that you, we can try another simple way. It starts with, we can write it like, it starts with A or A. You can see the condition is still valid, right? In this case, what will happen? Problem of sum will not come, because in this case it will be a true false field, right? City, and earlier it was a measure, now it's a dimension, so we can simply drag it here. So you can see true false, right? So it's your choice. Either you want to write if else, or you just want to do it with true false. Both are correct. In true false, you have to write less number of characters, right? Your calculated field also becomes smaller. So these are all your, these questions are all your assignments. You can copy them. So in many of these questions, filters will be used. In many of these questions, these contains will be used. You can always try to solve the same problem with the help of filter and same problem with the help of calculated field. Okay, so that you have good command over both of them. So please try all of this. I have already provided these questions. I have already provided the data set to you so that you can analyze.